In this video, I will give you an analysis of the 60 Minutes segment covering UFOs that aired yesterday. This is the first time since the inception of this program that they have covered UFOs, and this is not a trivial development by any stretch of the imagination. 60 Minutes is probably the most respected and mainstream news show ever to grace television, and their viewership is absolutely massive. I've heard estimates of 7 to 9 million views per episode. Many people that have never been exposed to this ongoing and developing story are finally getting up to speed more or less thanks to 60 Minutes. It was absolutely astounding that this 14-minute segment in length, on arguably the most prestigious news show ever, had no skeptics whatsoever involved. That's unbelievable, muchacho. And I agree with this decision by 60 Minutes to not have any skeptics. The reason is very simple. UFOs are unequivocally real, and our own government says that they are. And this is corroborated by electro-optical and radar data as well as eyewitness testimony. And it's not like this 60 Minutes episode was talking about little green men. It wasn't really. I mean, sure, non-human intelligence is a valid hypothesis, but it would only be just that, a hypothesis. What isn't a hypothesis is that UFOs are real. That, my friend, is a fact. And the opening of the 60 Minutes segment, the awesomeness of Bill Whitaker stated that this is a story of the US government's grudging acknowledgement of unidentified aerial phenomena. That's an interesting statement, and by all accounts is completely accurate. In my opinion, the US government has never wanted to talk about this, and it's not like they are gung-ho about talking about it now. I mean, Luis Elizondo had to resign from the Pentagon in protest to get this conversation started, and it has not been easy, but here we are. The House of Cards will fall, baby. Here's a great quote by Elizondo characterizing what some UFOs are reportedly able to do. Imagine a technology that can do 600 to 700 G-forces, that can fly at 13,000 miles an hour, that can evade radar, and that can fly through air and water and possibly space, and oh, by the way, has no obvious signs of propulsion, no wings, no control surfaces, and yet still can defy the natural effects of Earth's gravity. That's precisely what we're seeing. Lieutenant Ryan Graves made an incredible statement in the 60 Minutes episode. He said that UFOs were hovering over restricted airspace southeast of Virginia in 2014, and that this was observed when they updated their jets' radar systems, making it possible to zero in with infrared cameras. But he explains that it wasn't just in 2014. He went so far to say that pilots were seeing UFOs every single day for at least a couple of years in the W72 zone. Now, just imagine pilots seeing UAP in restricted airspace every single day for years and not knowing what they are or where they come from. I know that people like to say that UFOs are not a threat, but I'm sorry. They are clearly a potential threat when it can't be ruled out unequivocally that these things, or at least some of these things, are stemming from Chinese or Russian drones spying on highly sensitive US military exercises and capabilities. And furthermore, I know of at least one incident where an F-18 almost hit one of these things. That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. On March 4th, 2019, some of these things were photographed by a Navy pilot. Here is a photograph from a pilot's iPhone depicting one of these UAP. This was attained by George Knapp of the Mystery Wire news outlet. Interestingly, this pilot captured 2 other objects with his iPhone within the same vicinity on the same flight, and it's been said that these things weren't stationary in high winds. Frankly, whatever these are, it's a true mystery. They are certainly not authorized to be loitering around a military training range where sensitive exercises are taking place. Now, I don't mean to alarm or scare anybody, but hey, look on the bright side. If these things are truly originating from China or Russia and can penetrate our military training ranges, close to the United States, spying on our capabilities and strategies, and doing so with impunity, well, in a couple of years, we all may become bilingual. There's always a silver lining to every challenge in life. Here's a great quote by Lieutenant Ryan Graves. If these were tactical jets from other countries that were hanging out up there, it would be a massive issue. But because they look slightly different, we're not willing to look at the problem in the face. We're happy just to ignore the fact that these are out there watching us every day. This is a serious problem, folks. What this amounts to is that a very serious national security issue is occurring and has been occurring. But because the objects that are being witnessed visually and through sensor data are so weird physically and so weird in regards to their flight capabilities, they are essentially getting ignored. In other words, the UFO stigma is preventing the US government from giving a proper analysis on whatever the heck is out there, potentially monitoring U.S. military training operations. Here is a quote from Commander David Fravor in describing the intercept he had with a Tic Tac-shaped UAP in 2004. There's definitely something that, I don't know who's building it, who's got the technology, who's got the brains. There's something out there that was better than our airplane. To give you further clarity on how difficult it has been to get UFOs on the agenda of the US government, I will provide you with this quote from Chris Mellon. It's bizarre and unfortunate that someone like myself has to do something like that to get a national security issue like this on the agenda. What Mellon is referencing is the fact that he surreptitiously acquired the 3 Navy videos that we are all very familiar with by now that were subsequently leaked to the New York Times. Mellon explains. We knew and understood that you had to go to the public to get the public interested, to get Congress interested, to then circle back to the Defense Department and get them to start taking a look at it. In the closing of this amazing 60-minute segment, the Vice Chairman of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, Marco Rubio, says in regards to UFO reality, maybe it has a very simple answer, maybe it doesn't. 60 Minutes has very graciously released this segment on YouTube. I have linked to that below. Unfortunately, it may not be available in all countries. Now, I want to talk about how the 60 Minutes episode has taken us into second gear as it relates to the disclosure process. I'm going to provide some tweets that get at the heart of where this is all headed. George Knapp writes, it is a huge step forward. Most Americans don't read the New York Times, Washington Post, or New Yorker, as good as those publications are, but they watch 60 Minutes. This is new info for them. Even in an age where many hate the media, 60 Minutes is respected. It's big. Also, it makes it more palatable for other media to now dive in. Hopefully, 60 Minutes has learned there is so much more to cover. They are welcome to carve out a room with the rest of us down here in the UFO rabbit hole. Robert Powell, a member of the Scientific Coalition on UAP Studies, writes, it was rewarding to see CBS's 60 Minutes do a serious review of the UAP issue. The more serious media attention that UAP receives, the higher the likelihood that the DNI, Director of National Intelligence, will provide the Senate Intelligence Committee a meaningful report and soon at 60 Minutes. Zach Seichi of the Project Human podcast writes, all I'll say is that this is the tip of the avalanche and people are sitting on some pretty massive UAP stuff. Not trying to hype, we're past the hype stage. There just simply is a lot more that will come out and the next few months are going to be wild. He has good connections, so there may be something to what he said, and quite frankly, I've been hearing the same whispers. Beyond that, there have been video follow-ups to this 60 Minutes episode that dropped today on CNN, MSNBC, Morning Joe, and the NBC Today Show, and probably more. And in print, we've seen follow-ups such as within Newsweek, Guardian, and Yahoo News. Frankly, I really can't keep track of it all because it's a bit overwhelming. I'm drowning in the shift, everybody. Someone, save me. Oh, I forgot to reveal that even Comedy Central has gotten into the melee. Anyone else catch 60 Minutes last night? And I haven't even mentioned how UFOs started trending yesterday and are still doing so today on Twitter. Not to mention a lot of blue check marks on Twitter are chiming in on UFO reality as a result of the 60 Minutes piece. Miraculous May, everyone. Miraculous May. I was going to cover some statements from former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper. Today, if it could not get any more intense, it has. This escalation is beyond the beyond. James Clapper made some amazing statements about UFOs, and I was going to cover that, but you know what? Let's just let this video stand where it is. and we'll reconvene, and I'll cover what he stated in a CNN segment maybe tomorrow or so. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to support my work, I have a YouTube members option. I have Patreon. I have a merch shop where you can buy t-shirts. All the descriptions are below. Or you could just slap a like on this bad boy, and I'll appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that you watched the whole thing through. It means a lot to me, and I will see you in the next episode. Special thanks to all my YouTube patrons and members. I really appreciate it. I couldn't do it without you, and thank you so much.